everybody. I just hope you're all doing well. Today I'm going to go over the first part of your self-unit assignment. So it's in this folder, and we're just going to walk you through it. And again, feel free to forward through to whatever it is that you need. So the beginning of it is just showing kind of what we want you to be able to look at and do. And this unit I think is so important. Like if we want to understand how we relate to others and families, we have to figure out ourselves kind of first, because that really impacts how we relate to other people. So it starts out with the values terms, and so you're going to want to hop on the values Google Slides, and it'll pop up right here. There's a video to watch. I think they have you do more with that later though. I think it's LinkedIn again, but if not, you can hop back up. But it's just talking about how are you influenced or what's learned from your values or different things. And so it goes over value system, self-concept or image, self-esteem, self-worth, ideal self, and then you'll find those right here. So value, you just put the definition in here and then your examples. So like, what do you think your value system is? So like on here is person's standards and self-discipline set based on common sense, wisdom of knowing what the proper moral rules and discipline are, the amount of willingness to see themselves and others abide by them. And everybody's value system's a little bit different. Like maybe I think honesty is like a huge value system for me, or loyalty, or integrity. You can, like, there's tons. Like I wouldn't just pick one thing. Your value system is like, what are all of those things kind of combined that are really important to you that you're going to follow and the people important to you should be following too, in order to maintain your boundaries, okay? And then like self-concept, self-image, an idea of the self-construct from belief of about oneself and the responses of others. So how do you see yourself? Okay, so what is your self-image? Sometimes it relates to relationships, jobs, who you are, like your interests and who you are as a person. So you could put some of those things in here. Like my self-concept and my self-image, like maybe I'd put teacher is a big part of it, mother is a big part of it. It's also things that I really like maybe being outdoors, or like what's a big piece of who you are and that you think, not what other people think. Next we have our self-esteem and self-worth. So that one's going to be how do you feel like you're confident? How confident are you in your own worth and abilities? Like do you feel like you're enough? Do you feel like you how do you feel about yourself? And that's what you'd put as the example. And then ideal self is just that who do you strive to be? And then basically your example is like, what are you striving to be? Like it's all having that self-growth kind of, like how do we grow and where do you see yourself growing over time? Okay. And then your values just kind of goes over like different, like what are beliefs about what is important, and these are some examples in there. Value system separates it out. It gives you some options for that. Your families and values. So how do we meet an individual's needs for all of these things? So because that's part of what a family is showing the support and building a good picture of self-concept, and then helping your self-esteem. And then how are they taught? They're taught by example, direct teaching, religious training sometimes. And then what are the right values? This is just talking about creating a list of your top 10 values in your packet. And then you won't create a silent appointment because you don't have anybody to do that with. But this one is just listing your top 10 values in comparison to others. So this one I want you to just compare to somebody else in your household. So like have them think of their top 10 and see what they put. So this is just you thinking, what are your top 10 values? And then have someone else kind of create a little list and then put yes if they have it, you can in the line, and no if they don't. If it's a different value, what did they put? And they're not going to necessarily be in order, and that's okay. You can kind of search throughout. Okay? And then make sure you go back to the watching the What Matters Most video. And what are the 3 values that you would never sacrifice in any situation? So watch the video up on here. talking about universal values and all of that stuff. So you skip some of those pieces. Go back up to the top here and you'll watch the what matters most value, and then it'll help you kind of with understanding about answering that bottom question. Okay, so once you finish with that, then you're going to take a values survey and you're just going to put a check mark in the column that matches your feelings. So, and you're just going to do this for each one. So I would read this and I would say, okay, number 1, I would rather have a large expensive house than own a work of art. Okay, so maybe you were like, sometimes true, you'd put a little X there. Okay, if I go to places with I like to go to places with my friends, maybe that's super true, or maybe not. Maybe you're like, not so sure, or not true because you're a homebody. And you just check off everything on here. And then later, you're going to add it up. So you go up to here, and you kind of just keep scrolling. Maybe it'd help to have this open in more than one place. So you could just look, like you can split screen, like open it again so you can split screen it. But if for anything that you put very true, you'd put a number 9. So say for number 5, I'd look up and go, okay, question 5. So that means I'm going to scroll all the way up to question 5. And if I had that very true checked, I'd scroll back down, and then I'm going to put a 9 there. I think it helps to leave a few spaces so it's not right there. It's easier to see. And then I'd put a 9. However, if I put sometimes true, I would put a 6 instead. If I put not sure, I'd do a 3. And if I put in there not true, I would put in a 0. Okay, and then you just do that for each thing. And then you'll total them up. So like these numbers relate to the different like values and topics, and so you'll have a total then for each one. And then you'll be able to say like what are your top values, kind of in that how it fits you. So tell me what your top values are. If you have stuff that's tied, it's okay to tell me more than one. But what are they? And then what challenges could you have based on your values? Kind of how can you offset those? Those you just have to kind of think about. Like example, if like family was important to me, like everybody's like, oh, that's so good to always have family important. But if that's like your top value, it's great, unless maybe you have family members that try to take advantage of you, right? And then maybe people that have that top family value would be more susceptible to that. Okay, so same thing, money or wealth, that sounds great, but what if that's more important than things that maybe would get in the way with that? Okay, so you just kind of have to think of those things. Okay, so that's what I'm wanting you to get done for the first day, is try to get as far as you can with your values. If you don't finish, I know this is kind of a big, long survey, so if you don't finish, don't stress out. You can finish that the next day. I'm trying to take off all my stuff I did. Okay, we should be good. Okay, and that's that piece. So you can exit out the values, and then you're going to go to the Myers-Briggs information. So there's Myers-Briggs Google Slides, so your notes. And then you hop down here, and then it's going to talk about your personality type. So it's like a Myers-Briggs personality thing, and it's not the end-all be-all, but I find this stuff all fascinating. But it's just kind of starting off point to understanding yourself, and then if you have other people that you know take the quiz, understanding them too, which I think is super helpful. So you'll click on the quiz and do this first, and then on the right hand side it says take the test. You can do a login and then it saves it for you, but otherwise you can just take the test and you'll just scroll down. So like you answer the questions and it's just disagree or agree, and the more you disagree, the more it's on the right, and the more you agree, the more it's on the left. Okay, so if it says you regularly make new friends, like, I'm not a huge new friend person. Okay, I like my friends the way they are, right? You spend a lot of your free time exploring various random topics that pique your interest. Okay, so maybe I'd put that. So you're going to go around and you just keep clicking, and you're going to pick like actual ones. But I'm just like clicking really fast here. Try to stay away from the totally neutral as much as you can. Okay, and it helps it go a little bit kind of faster. Okay, I'm going to pause quick and then I'll come back once I have it done. Okay, I'm back. I just kind of clicked random stuff. So this personality style absolutely does not actually fit me. Mine is the adventurer. I am ISFP, I believe. So it's actually pretty close. But when we look on here, it's talking about, it gives a name for this, but it also gives the letters. And the letters are what, like if you ever look stuff up on other sites, you'll see all kinds of information for it. This is just my favorite site for it. But it'll tell you what your mind is. Are you extroverted or introverted? Like this is showing 55% introverted. I'm more introverted than that. Energy. Are you more intuitive, more observant? Are you more thinking, feeling? And then this is tactics. Are you more judging and prospecting? And then identity is assertive or turbulent. So that's the information that I'm wanting to make sure gets on your assignment. So these are your percentages. So this is saying your personality type. So if I'm looking back at this, I'm saying, okay, my first one, extroverted versus introverted, I'm introverted, which is true for me. So I'd type that in. And then I get my percentage down, and it says 55%. So I type in 55%. Okay, and then I just keep going down and do the same things on here. And then this is, like I just continue with that. Okay, and then, And then I'm going to get more information. It says read profile. You have to click on this read profile, or for some reason it just doesn't show. And then it says, before we move on to your profile, would you like a copy of your results emailed to you? I think this is helpful. I'm going to say no thanks because I want to move on. But then if you like lose your results or anything like that, you can get it back, right? Okay, but otherwise it brings me to this. And you can see your results again on this side with your percentages as well. But as soon as I exit out of this, if I exited out of this tab, I would lose all those results and I'd have to take the test all over again. Okay, so make sure you're saving it somewhere. And then for this, I would have you copy the link on here. So it says copy and paste your results here. I just go ahead and copy the link to get your information. So like now that I'm on here, because it's not going to keep probably the percentages, but this should keep the information so I can reference back to it. So I would copy and paste this piece right here, go back into here, and then just have it like that. So like, see if I click on this, here I am, right back to where I was before. Okay, because I'm still logged in, or not in, but like on the same page, I haven't shut down or anything, it's showing that. But make sure you're getting that piece in there. I'm going to take it off because I don't want to make changes to it. Okay, and then just spend some time and read it. It's super interesting. A lot of this stuff you might be like, oh, that doesn't fit me, but a lot of it does. So it's just saying, like, if I was this virtuosos, I mean, I love to explore with their hands and eyes, touching and examining the world around them with cool rationalism and spirited curiosity. They're natural makers, moving from project to project, often mechanics, engineers. So you get like kind of an introduction. It talks about strengths and weaknesses. Talks about romantic relationships, and kind of like how do they deal with romantic relationships. And maybe sometimes, if I remember right, they sometimes give ideas about who might be good partners or not, but I can't remember. Friendships, how do you work with friendships that are not romantic? Parents, like if you're a parent at that and you have this style, like what's kind of like your style with parenting and how can that help and be good, or how could it be something to watch for when you're parenting? Career paths are often interesting. Like this one's talking about mechanics, engineers, graphic designers, forensic scientists. So more analytical pieces. What are the workplace habits to kind of look out for, that it might be good and not so good, and then a conclusion. So I'll read through it. It's just kind of fascinating. It's all about you. And every once in a while things won't fit though. Okay, but make sure you keep that up. And then on here we have like the definitions and then the example or preferences of that type of behavior would have, or or person would have, or behaviors that might be associated with it. So for this, you can look on there and you can look on the notes. Either way, just talking about what these are, what they do, and just kind of usually more inborn things. It says take the test, but I already have you doing that on there. It's talking about the extroverted, introverted, sensing, intuitive, thinking, feeling, judging, perceiving. And how an extrovert is not someone that's talkative or loud. When we look at extrovert, it's how introvert or extrovert is how you get and use your energy. Extroverts get energy by being around other people and doing, and introverts get energy by being by themselves and recharging alone, and sometimes just small groups of people. Okay, so that's like the big difference. Okay, and then this is giving more. Like extroverted people usually are going to be readily more take initiative, acts first, think later, enjoy a wide variety of and change of people and relationships, very usually more approachable, develop ideas through discussion. Okay, introverts are more thoughtful, usually reflective, needs private time to reflect, one-on-one relationships or conversations are better listeners usually, focusing on projects. So you can kind of just see, and then it goes to the sensing and intuitive. It's like this is about how you take information in, and then it goes into particulars about, okay, the sensing person, this is how they more take it in. The intuitive and personality, this is how they do. And sometimes you'll notice, like on results, if you're really close, like this is intuitive and observant on here. Observant, I need to change this. I'll change that on here so you can see the observant instead. But the results on here, now these aren't my real results, but observant is 51%, intuitive 49%. So you might have things from both of those because they're so close together and similar. So that's why. Okay. And then keeping going. So you're just going to do that for each thing. And then some of those things that are in there, like if I look on here, I could take careful and thoughts and conclusions. I could take and put that in that sensing one because that would be an example of it. Try to highlight the ones that are really big and important. Okay. And then you're going to analyze your results now that you know more about them. So you've done the notes and found that. You've read all of this, like exploring your own type. And then now you should be filling in your results. So how well do you think your results fit about how you feel about yourself? What are some of the strengths with this personality type? So that's where you go back into here. Strengths and weaknesses are right here. You can see them right there. They're all bulleted, even nice and easy for you. Okay, and then weaknesses or challenges. And then how can you keep your personality in mind when interacting with others? So especially when we're looking at those weaknesses, like what might we have to do or challenges about our personality, because all of them have it. What can we do and keep in mind when interacting with others? And maybe not everybody thinks that way, and how can I keep that in mind? List some other personality types that match well with yours. I think that's in here somewhere, but if you can't find it, just Google it. Like I could type in, for example, ISFP, personality type, romantic, matches. Okay, and see what I get. Okay, so then it's saying compatibility and results. So I'm going to click on this. Okay. So right here, best, you can see it right here, best matches for ISFP, which is what mine is. So it's the following extroverted sensing types are best matches. So ESFJ, ESTJ are going to be some of the best matches. Worst matches for ISFP are going to be like ENTP, ENFJ. Like, so it's giving both of those, which I think is kind of helpful. And then there's a whole little chart on all of them, I think, which is interesting. Okay, the biggest thing I think that's helpful, what's helpful is if you have at least 2 things that match, that can be really helpful. So see, like on here, the ESFJ, you have the S and the F that are matching, which can be really helpful. Okay, and the second one, there isn't anything else matching, so to me this was probably, that one would probably be like the better option. Okay, so so that's how you're going to fill that portion out. And then list other personality types that do not match well with yours. Oh, I forgot that was in there. So you just go back to the same page because remember we scrolled down, it was there. And then just check out other personality types. Then think of someone that you do not get along with as well as you do others. And do you think they have one of those personality types that don't fit well? Like just try to think back on, like look at some descriptions. And how you do that is you just go back. You can go back to your results. And then there's resources, and it's just the personality types. You just learn more about different personality types here. And you can click on any of them. So it gives them names, but then it also tells you what the actual things are. And it just has it listed twice, whether it's assertive or turbulent on there. And you can just like pick some. And then like if I want to learn more about the executive, I can read about them a little bit. And just kind of see what it feels like and see if that fits for somebody. Also feel free to have, I think it's super fun to have like parents, brothers, sisters, friends, boyfriends, girlfriends, all of those. Have them take the test and kind of see how they compare, which is really fun. Okay, then the last piece is going for this is trying to put an understanding on other personalities into action. So how do we take an opposite personality type and keep that in mind when we try to guide people through different things? So like scenario 1, we'll do that one together, is sensing versus intuitive or observant. I can't remember now which one it is. I have to change it. But it says Julie is a preschool teacher. She assigns her class to draw a picture of a bicycle. Students share their pictures with the class. One of the students has drawn a bicycle with wings. Another student laughs at the drawing and says, bicycles don't have wings. How should the teacher handle this situation? What should the teacher say? Okay, for me, what I would say as a teacher, I'd be like, oh, I love the creativity of the winged bicycles. It's like real bicycles don't usually have wings that work, but man, that's such a super fun idea. I like it. So focusing on, in particular, praising the student that did it. We don't need to admonish the kid that's following like the more rigid guidelines of what should be there, because both of them are perfectly fine. And then you could just say, well, I like your bicycle that's realistic. That's a nice, really realistic bicycle. That we would normally see. So you can praise kind of both options as both being good. Okay, so that's kind of an approach I would feel for that. Scenario 2, let's do that one too because they're such different scenarios. Scenario 2 is thinking versus feeling. So it says John has a great girlfriend. She is intelligent, beautiful, and fun to be with. She only has one flaw, according to John. John thinks that she's too emotional and wishes she could be a little more rational. When his girlfriend tries to talk to him about emotional issues, he analyzes her problems and proposes a logical solution. His girlfriend doesn't like the solutions that John proposes. Should John find a new girlfriend? Basically, or what should John do, right? So this is a classic case of thinking wants to analyze, come up with solutions. Feeling, when they have problems, they want to just be able to feel their feelings. They want to be able to vent and just feel heard, right? And so a good approach could, if John can, he could just recognize that his girlfriend is more of a feeling and she just wants to feel and vent and be listened to and heard, which most people do. And so if he can handle that and do that, that would be, I think, a really good thing to do. Sometimes people that are more logical, I know a lot of people are like, okay, when they're frustrated and they're feeling sad, if they have more feeling thing, it can help sometimes be like, I don't want solutions. I just want to I want you to listen. And that can help too. So there's some compromise that could happen. But ultimately, that's up to John. Like if it's too hard for him to do that stuff, maybe they're not a good match. Okay, so you can have multiple reasons, but just make sure you're explaining them, whatever you think the solution is there. Okay, then do the same thing for scenario 3 and scenario 4. And then you're done for this section. And then this section I have, I think, 3 days scheduled. So you take 3 days for doing these pieces. Okay, if you have any questions for this section, and again, we'll do the mental health piece later. I'll have to put that in a separate video. Okay, if you have any questions, let me know. Send me an email or come to my office hours. Have a great day.